A legislation is being proposed that would significantly increase Social Security checks for millions of Americans, and lawmakers from both political parties are backing this change, which is a rare show of agreement. Welcome back, everyone. This is Kadar here today. We're diving into some crucial news that could mean higher Social Security checks for millions of Americans. With a significant legislative change on the horizon, I've got all the details and a full breakdown for you right here in this video. Let's jump right in and discuss what's happening. The proposed act seeks to repeal the WEP and GPO. These provisions currently limit Social Security benefits for public sector employees who also receive pensions from their government jobs. For many teachers, police officers, firefighters, and other public servants, these reductions can mean a significant decrease in their monthly benefits, leaving them with insufficient income to meet their needs. By removing these outdated provisions, the legislation would allow affected workers to receive full benefits based on their years of service, rather than being penalized for their public service careers. But first, I need to ask you for a quick favor. If you enjoy this content, please give the video a big thumbs up. Your support truly makes a difference. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time to hit that subscribe button right below. Thank you so much for being here and for being part of our growing community. I really appreciate your support. Now, let's get into the meat of the matter. Lawmakers are currently facing a vote on a piece of legislation that could bring about significant, permanent changes to Social Security for millions of Americans. This proposed change aims to raise monthly benefit checks that have been reduced through no fault of the recipients. This is a really promising development, and the momentum behind it is building. Here's something interesting. Lawmakers from both sides of the aisle are actually supporting this legislation. This is quite surprising, considering that it often seems like there's more disagreement than agreement in politics these days. But in this case, they are united in their goal to eliminate a rule that has negatively impacted many Americans. That's a big deal. Now, I want to take a moment to address something important. If this proposed change doesn't directly impact your monthly benefits, I completely understand how you might feel discouraged or frustrated. It can be disheartening when it seems like changes aren't coming fast enough. However, it's essential to recognize that the mere fact that lawmakers are coming together to discuss reforming Social Security is a monumental win. Think of it like opening the floodgates. Once that flow begins, it can lead to even more significant changes. If they can successfully repeal this regulation, it could create momentum for additional reforms. Lawmakers need that momentum right now. They've been stagnant for too long, and we need to see some movement. So, what's the legislation we're talking about? It's called the Social Security Fairness Act. This proposed law aims to repeal two specific provisions: the Windfall Elimination Provision, WEP, and the Government Pension Offset, GPO. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly do these terms mean? Let's break it down. The WEP and GPO affect a range of workers, particularly those employed by local, state, or federal governments. This includes teachers, police officers, firefighters, and various other public service employees. Essentially, because these workers typically receive pensions from their public service jobs, their Social Security benefits are significantly reduced. This can result in their benefits being either very limited or even non-existent. The Social Security Fairness Act aims to eliminate these unfair reductions. By repealing the WEP and GPO, it would mean that these workers could receive the full Social Security benefits they have earned through their years of hard work and public service. This is not just about fairness. It's about ensuring that everyone receives the benefits they deserve after contributing to the system. Imagine the relief for millions of public service workers if this legislation passes. It would not only boost their financial stability, but also send a strong message that lawmakers are finally recognizing the value of public service. These provisions have been a source of frustration for many, and the idea is to ensure that these outdated rules are finally removed from our Social Security system. Now, let's take a moment to consider the implications of this change. By removing the WEP and GPO, lawmakers are acknowledging that this is a change that should have been made a long time ago. And honestly, many of us would agree that numerous aspects of Social Security should have been updated years ago. If we're being candid, some of these reforms were due long before today. Think about it. Social Security was established with the Social Security Act of 1935, and since then, many provisions have remained unchanged. Some were introduced as far back as the 1970s and 1980s. This means that a lot of the rules we are still following are incredibly outdated. This is particularly concerning when we look at how these rules impact individuals' benefits today. For many people, the benefits they receive are significantly reduced, leaving them with far less than they deserve. I know I'll see comments from those who have worked for decades and still find themselves struggling with the benefits they receive. This highlights a broader issue with Social Security, one that's rooted in its outdated rules. Let's take a closer look at a specific example: the marriage penalty within Supplemental Security Income, or SSI. This rule has been around since the program's inception, essentially punishing couples by reducing their benefits simply for being married. This may have been reasonable decades ago, but today, it simply doesn't make sense. The same applies to the WEP and GPO, which date back to 1983, over 40 years ago. It's high time that we revisit these policies and assess their relevance in our current society. We should be looking at Social Security every decade or so to ensure it reflects the modern-day realities and needs of Americans. So, what would the Social Security Fairness Act actually do? By eliminating the WEP and GPO, this act would significantly increase the benefits for public sector employees, such as firefighters, police officers, teachers, and other state and federal employees. Right now, these individuals often face drastically reduced benefits or even become ineligible due to these outdated provisions. By passing this act, lawmakers would ensure that these workers receive the full benefits they've earned based on their years of service, without those reductions holding them back. This is not just a matter of fairness. It's about acknowledging the hard work and dedication of these public servants. Unfortunately, we see that significant changes to Social Security have been slow to come. Lawmakers have been hesitant to tackle this issue, primarily because it's a politically sensitive topic. The landscape of Social Security reform is fraught with tension, and many lawmakers shy away from it to avoid controversy. Right now, in our current political climate, it seems that Social Security rarely gets the attention it deserves. Despite the pressing need for reform, conversations around Social Security are often sidelined. The reality is, there's a lot of resistance to addressing these critical issues, which is why the introduction of the Social Security Fairness Act is so vital. As we move forward, let's keep our fingers crossed for this legislation and continue advocating for the changes that will support millions of Americans who have been waiting far too long for the benefits they rightfully deserve. So, what's the plan to reform Social Security? The truth is, there doesn't seem to be a clear plan in sight. If there is one, it's certainly not being shared with the public. We often hear lawmakers proclaiming, "We're not going to cut Social Security. We're going to secure more funds for seniors." But let's be honest, how long has it been since we've actually seen meaningful changes? For years, we've heard promises about increasing benefits, yet we're still waiting. It's frustrating because while politicians talk a big game, the action just isn't there. They may insist that they won't cut benefits, but the reality is that doing nothing is, in effect, a cut. Yes, you heard that right. Inaction on Social Security is equivalent to slashing benefits because inflation and rising living costs continue to outpace the benefits many receive. Now, let's dive deeper into what happens if we don't reform Social Security. If we remain stagnant and refuse to make necessary changes, we're looking at potential cuts of about 17% to 21% for beneficiaries. These numbers are based on current projections, but they're likely to shift as time goes on. So, it's essential to understand that if we want Social Security to thrive and continue providing benefits at its current pace, reform is absolutely crucial. One significant piece of legislation aimed at reforming aspects of Social Security is the Social Security Fairness Act. This act focuses on reducing the Windfall Elimination Provision, WEP, and the Government Pension Offset, GPO. These provisions have significantly impacted millions of individuals across the country, particularly those who have dedicated their lives to public service. The aim of this act is to enable those affected by these provisions to receive higher benefits, which is something many have been advocating for since these rules were first implemented in the 1980s. It's about time we address these outdated regulations and provide fair compensation for the hard work that so many have put into their careers. Now, regarding the legislative process, there's currently a push to force a vote on the Social Security Fairness Act in the House of Representatives. This process is known as a discharge petition. However, this effort requires at least 218 votes to pass, which is a significant hurdle. They were supposed to vote on this in September, but surprise, surprise, it didn't happen. I know, shocking, right? But don't worry. I'll keep you posted on any developments regarding this legislation. It looks like there may be another chance for a vote in November, but that's still uncertain. The important thing is that we stay informed and engaged in these discussions because Social Security affects so many lives. If you find this information helpful, please consider subscribing to the channel for updates on Social Security and other crucial financial topics. A big thumbs up on this video would also be greatly appreciated. Your support means the world to me. Don't forget to check out our extensive video library with over 5,000 videos tailored just for you. You can find hand-selected content linked in the description or pinned in the top comment section. And right now, you'll see some recommended videos showing up on your screen. Thank you so much for being here and supporting this channel. I genuinely appreciate every one of you. Remember, I'm here to help in any way I can, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.